Hey, Jessica and Charlene, thank you so much for taking out the time to share your experience of being in the 8 week sales mastery course and working with us here at the Abundant Accountant. I'd love it if you can share where you both are located and a little bit about the firm dynamic because you guys own it together. And then also, what do you guys specialize in as far as the services that you provide in the firm?
Yeah. So thanks for having us, Michelle. We are located in like the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. We've had our firm for a little over 2 years now, and really we run on like a subscription-based model. So some level of accounting, tax compliance, tax planning. It's like a one-stop shop for our clients for their accounting services.
Awesome. Lovely. So you can choose who answers it, but what do you feel was the biggest stressors and challenges that you were having in your subscription model firm that you said, you know what, I need some help? And share like what were things like before we met?
I think one of the biggest problems that we had is, we were trying to explain to prospects what services we were going to provide them, and we knew this was a thing. They don't value those services. It's really hard to convince them that they need, good accounting records or an accurate tax return or what actual tax planning can do to eliminate some tax.
Right.
If they don't understand it and they don't know it, it's really hard to convey that to them. And so we were struggling in our closing process, getting people to see the value of working with us and why we were different from other firms.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
yeah, our price tag would be quite a bit more than, maybe accountants they've worked with in the past, but to us, we're like it's a completely different service offering, but they didn't see it that way.
Yeah, for sure. And when you're struggling to convey that, it just gets daunting probably to continue on doing all those sales meetings. So, what was the thing for both of you that said, you know what, we need to do something about this? And if you can share how long that'd been going on and maybe how many missed sales you had too from not being able to convince these people and convey that value in a way that made sense to them.
Yeah, so I think, when we talked at the AICTP summit, right? When you had spoken, we were kind of, chatting afterwards. And at the time, I think we had had two like ideal clients get away at that time. And so it was like, wow, yeah, we missed out on, $8,000 a month of recurring revenue because of, our sales process essentially, like the close rate, our close rate
Right.
wasn't very good. And so, you know, like we don't work with everyone and like, we've been good at that part, but just really I don't our close rate like it was kind of all over the map, right? So like
Yeah.
sometimes it would be good and then sometimes like we'd go and we'd have a dry season, right? But yeah, when those ideal ones got away, like that really hurt. And so we're like, yes, like next time we need to do something different.
Yeah, no, and those are stingers, because you really want to help them. They're the perfect client, they're the ideal client. And we want to be able to make sure we can enroll those ones, especially because now they're going to go somewhere else, right? They'll just go somewhere for cheaper. Maybe the work won't get done as well as the two of you doing it. Um, so I know you enrolled in the 8 week sales mastery course, but when you were going through that decision-making process and talking together, what were some of your hesitations or objections that came up for you? Or, maybe you even thought, well, it worked for so many other people, but is it going to work for this kind of firm and this model and someone on subscription that's offering, monthly services to our clients? I'd love it if you can share maybe what some of those thoughts were before you said, no, we're going to do this, and some of your initial skepticisms.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen you speak at the academy, right? The CTC, like, so we're kind of familiar with you, and so that that part, like the trust, I think was already there, right? Like we've built that trust with you over time. So really, like it was just that initial investment. Like we're still trying to grow our firm, like financials aren't quite solid like where we'd like them to be. So like that was a big investment, right? But we're like, you know what? It's gonna pay off. Like that wasn't the question. It was just kind of like, hey, can we commit to this?
Yeah.
Yes. Really thinking about that. Like it's a time piece, right? Like we're like, yes, we need to commit the time, the process, like, all these preconceived things in our head sometimes about the clients. Like that was a big thing too. Like, hey, you know what, just try it our way. Like, you guys have been doing it this way, and
Yeah.
like we're here for a reason, like trust the process, right? So that's kind of one of our mottos, like throughout this whole process, was like, you know what, it's different than we've been doing it. And that's kind of the whole point, right? Like we're learning something new, we're
Yeah.
testing out new muscles, and
Yeah. Like you're
so
trying on a new hat, new jacket each week. You get new clothing articles to try on and see what fits and what works. And, I'm sure most of it works really well. And some of it you're like, yeah, no, I'm good. Right. But you can take what you want and create this new process so you can convert those clients. So I'd love it if you could share, how do you feel now compared to where things were about 2 months ago?
I think we have, I mean, I think we probably said it at least 5 times. Trust the process in the class, right? Like that seemed to be a theme, and that was okay. Changing the way we're doing it. So now I think we have a rock solid plan. We like the way we have it set up. We feel very comfortable and confident in the questions that we've been able to come up with to talk to prospective clients about what's really going on in their business. And I think one thing is going to be, it's okay to be brutal with them and tell them, like, hey, this is not working and this is what might happen if you don't fix it now. And,
Yeah.
you never want to be mean, obviously, but
Yeah, I
they
want
don't
to
want
call it maybe not
to.
brutal, but just direct, right? Like just sharing the consequence that if they don't do X, Y might happen. Because I think a lot of people you work with, they just don't understand that.
I think just being able to trust yourself when you're talking to them, knowing that you know what's going on in their financials, even if
Yeah.
they think they do, they don't always know. And
Yeah.
just being able to convey that.
Yeah.
But you got to do your homework before the meeting, right? You got to be prepared. You can't just walk in blind and just be like, I'll wing it. There needs to be a process. And I think we're really comfortable with what we were able to come up with.
because we were winging it before the sales class. We were definitely just winging each of the sales calls, and now we actually have like a whole process and scripts and stuff to go with, and so we don't have to wing it. Like it's right here on paper. Like all we have to do is follow.
Yeah. And the scripts you wrote, you did it in your homework assignments, right? So it's that time commitment that you put in every day because you guys got to create this every step of the way. So, I'd love it if you can share some of the biggest takeaways that you got in the last 2 months and any of your biggest wins or biggest victories that you would love to share. Personally, you can speak financially, just anything that is, like, wow, I can't, this is amazing. Like, this has really changed X for me. What would that be for each of you?
I think for me, a couple things. For one, that value worksheet that we did up front, that was a huge eye opener.
Mhm.
Putting it all on paper like that just really put it into perspective. Like we are not charging enough. I think we both got that out of that.
I told you that too. I think when we first met, but I'm like, oh, you'll figure that out in a couple weeks.
The other thing that I think we saw less of before is there are so many other firm owners who are struggling with the exact same stuff. They're getting beat up on price, they're doing work for free,
Yeah.
they're not charging really what they should be charging based off of what they're doing. They're getting change orders in and then they're not billing extra for it. We didn't have an AR problem, but I did see that that was a very common thing. We've seen it in the past. And so it was kind of not nice because that's horrible. It was helpful for us to know we're definitely not alone. It is not just us. And so that just kind of really, again, makes me want to change the industry even more. Like,
Totally.
why should we be, as you said, bullied by
Yeah.
clients because they, don't want to pay more or have better service. So I think meeting all these other accountants was
Yeah.
a unique experience.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, we have to change the industry, and together, each person, I like
Yeah.
to say, we're eradicating the under earning and undercharging disease that this industry has. But it takes, one firm owner at a time, like you said, to not wing it, to prepare, to show up, to stand your ground, to say what it is on your mind with confidence, and just be okay if they leave you. Because if every firm owner starts to do that, then everyone together will start to get paid more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And for you, biggest takeaways, wins?
Yes. So, okay, yeah, the value thing in the beginning, like that was just amazing. And like it's funny because we weren't charging like some of these firm owners in the class, like they're charging significantly lower fees and like it's oh my gosh. Um, but like even us, we're like, oh my gosh, we're not charging enough because all the time we've spent doing research and the years of just working in the industry and like all these things that we do already, like it definitely changed the perspective on the value. And then I think getting really specific about saying no to unideal clients, not offering discounts. Like we'd already started doing a lot of that work, but like really specific. That red rope policy, very powerful. Like,
Yeah.
no, we don't have to work with everyone. And like, sometimes you bend because you're like, the revenue would be nice and it's never worth it. There's like, mm-mm. Yeah. So, no, it's been good. It was definitely enjoyable.
Awesome. And how do you both feel now? And I'd love it if you can share that along with, you've done other programs and education and things. What would you say to other firm owners about our approach and working with us here at the Abundant Accountant and sharing like about more of your experience?
Yeah, I think so. Other programs we've done, a lot of stuff is technical in our industry. They definitely don't teach you sales in the CPA or the EA course. That is not a thing that they bring up. And when you work for a firm that has a typical tax model, at least that's where we both came from, you learn from them, right? That's what they do. And Sally CPA is a very common thing. And Jess and I got really tired of that. So having this process was like kind of where we already wanted to go. We're doing subscription based, we're doing something new. There's no book on this out there that goes step by step, guide by guide for a small firm, how to start it, how to implement it. And I think Jess and I got lucky because we literally started our firm from scratch. We didn't have clients we needed to convert.
Right.
That probably made it a lot easier. Again, that was tough because we had 0 clients. Having this process, I think it just, for one, I think it's been proven based off everything I've heard and seen and learned. But I feel like that's what we needed, is step by step, and we needed to stop being winging it like on our calls, and we need structure. And I think now I feel really good about it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I definitely feel a lot more confident in our sales process. Just even like, because sometimes we would take like discovery calls, right? And we're hesitant because we're like, they probably don't meet our red rope policy. Before we had the red rope policy, we had some idea of who we wanted to work with, right? But, we would be like, because you never know, right? Like, we don't want to be judgy. So we're like, hey, let's have the call. And of course, it didn't pan out. We're wasting time requesting documents, like viewing things, like a lot of wasted time. Like it's good practice, so it's not necessarily a waste, but it definitely wasn't fruitful. It didn't, pan out for us a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we just feel a lot more confident in our process and who we want to work with and like, what we're here to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Lovely. And a lot of introverted left-brained accountants and firm owners have asked me, well, what about the structure and the mechanics of the program? And what about what you've learned were you able to implement right away? I'd love it if you can share from the firm owner hat perspective. What did you think about the structure, the accountability, the mechanics of the program, or anything from that left side of your brain that you could share with another firm owner that might be wondering about the program flow from your firm owner perspective?
Yeah, I think you pretty much nailed it on having it set up to where if you're willing to put in the time, you completely structured it. Like classes on Tuesday, homework's due Friday. It really gave us a block your calendar. There is no excuses. We got to do the homework together, but we would usually be in person and we would try and talk through everything.
Yeah.
But there was, reminders, meetings tomorrow, don't be late. It's at 1 p.m. Like, I feel like the structure was perfect. You do need to block the time. You can't take client phone calls during this class. Like you have to be 100% focused. And I think that's where you'll get the most out of it. But it's just like taking CPE in the office. Someone's always knocking on the door. Maybe you need to go somewhere that's away from everyone, or that they absolutely know no matter what, unless the building's on fire, don't bother me. so that you can actually spend the time and get it done. But no, I feel like the structure was very set up so that you pretty much can't fail unless you just don't want to do the work, which
100% spot on. I mean, I tried to make it bulletproof. Unless you just don't do the work, I don't know, this isn't going to work.
no, I felt that it was very structured. The homework was very well written out to the point you knew exactly what you were doing. And then of course the notes when you get the homework back, you have to go through it all. Everything made total sense. I actually liked that better. It wasn't like we had to submit in Excel and then I thought the way you had it, like you make it very,
Yeah.
very, very easy. Yeah.
Cool, thanks. And for you?
Yeah, I mean, same, like, again, like really committing the time. Like, I think we blocked off the calendar, like, if it's on the calendar, it's important, right? So like just, committing to those time blocks. And if something does come up, like you gotta like shift something up, like, like you really have to commit and put in the time. I mean, that's really like that's all there is to it, right?
It is. But then life happens, right? And sometimes we ignore our time blocks, but
But how bad do you want it, right? Like if
Yeah.
if you're ignoring your time block, like
it's true.
you we all make that commitment to you in the beginning, like, yes, we're, an hour a day. Okay, you know what? Something came up and I couldn't get my hour in today, like 2 hours tomorrow. Like, where am I fitting it in? Like,
Have to.
we're very intentional about that.
Yeah. Love it. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And what would you share, ladies, with other people that are going to do it together? So maybe a firm owner and their salesperson, or maybe it's the firm owner with another sibling where they own the firm together, or maybe it's a parent-child firm owner relationship, but it's two people in a firm that are kind of having the client-facing meetings. What would you say to them about going through the course together? And like you said, you met in person, you did the homeworks together. What would you share to them that might help them in their decision to possibly enroll and create a sales process for them that they created together?
I think we can both go on this one.
Yeah.
I think on that, I would say you're going to have to be very intentional. You will have to talk to each other. This isn't something where you do one and the other person does the other. Like you should be agreeing on all the things that you're coming up with because you're both going to have to be doing it on that call. Or, even if you have separate calls because you have separate clients, you should both be saying the same thing for consistency. So I think being on the same page is just, you have to be willing to do that. So if there's any kind of where you don't feel that that's going to happen, I would talk through that first for sure, because I think it needs to be the same all the way around.
Yeah, I think so. We would watch the videos separate a lot of the time and then do the homework together. And then, we'd each have like some questions sometimes. So we're like, okay, what questions should we bring to the weekly coaching call? And so we're like, oh, that's a good point. I didn't catch that when I was watching the video, but maybe Charlene did. So like,
Yeah.
it's complementary, right? Like, so like a lot of the work we do, it's like that. Like, hey, what were your thoughts on that? Oh, okay, that was good. I didn't look at it from that angle. Like, let's talk about that. So I think doing it together is definitely very helpful. And yeah, doing all the lessons together, being consistent, like, yeah, definitely needs to be the same language. If we're calling things something, like that needs to be the name, right? So consistency is key. And then, yeah, I think, yeah, together.
Yeah.
Great. So ladies, for someone who might be serious about taking their firm to the next level, stopping the discounting, stop winging it, they want to, increase their fees and really create that ideal client profile and be able to say no with confidence like you've been able to. What words of wisdom would you share with that firm owner right now, now that you've gone through the course and you've seen how this has changed the way you do things together? What would you share to that person that's really serious about making a change, but wants to hear whatever someone else has to say?
I think it's scary making an investment in something sometimes, and committing the time, right? Especially if these accountants are still selling their time, like, this is an extra thing that they need to do, and it's an investment, but you have to be willing to spend the time and commit. Like I think the amazing thing about this particular program is you only work with accountants, and most sales coach, like, I don't think there's anyone else that just works with accountants the way you do. So again, like, when we're talking about analogies, like, you know, when you need to see a brain surgeon, right? Like you don't go to the general practitioner, like you go to the specialist, like you're the specialist in this industry, you know, for that sales perspective. And I think, you know, seeing someone that only focuses on people who work with accountants, like that's a game changer.
Yeah. Thank you. Awesome.
I was gonna say the investment of money and more importantly, the investment of time is definitely worth it. You think about it, you get one large client afterwards, it's more than paid for itself there, and you have something you can literally use for the rest of your firm's life. It wouldn't need to change because it works just the way it is.
But you can also develop it over time. Like it can get better. Like, you know, what you start with in the beginning, like we're gonna make changes and we're gonna, as we, you know, especially like the more sales meetings we have, like what works, what doesn't, you know what, this piece seems to relate with our clients. Like we're gonna start using this because, you know, maybe it felt more comfortable, more natural. Like things can develop over time and only get better.
Awesome.
But at least we have a starting point. Like
you have a great foundation in place.
yes, the foundation is amazing.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for taking out the time to share your experience about working with us here at the Abundant Accountant and being in the 8-week sales mastery course. Is there anything else that you feel that you would love to share that maybe I didn't ask, but maybe that each of you just wants to share before we wrap up today?
I'm gonna go with my theme, trust the process.
Trust the process. I mean, really though, really.
Yeah.
Were you very like, this is strange in the beginning, or can you elaborate a little bit more on trust the process since you've brought it up a couple times? And I'm sure there's some fear from others, like this is, you know, maybe share a little bit more in depth on that.
Yeah, I think certain, like, especially, you know, for an introverted accountant, like one, the sales process is already uncomfortable, right? But especially like people don't want to feel like they're being sold to, and we don't want to sell, like we want to help people, right? And so just really having that helping brain on, like we're just phrasing things in a way like we're showing people how we can help them with the things that they want. So really,
how
you
does
know,
it feel for you being an introverted accountant now doing this?
I definitely feel more comfortable with the sales process. Like having that helps tremendously. We do a lot of networking too. So just even like, you know, our elevator pitch and like tweaking that a little bit, like the whole thing is just, I think all functions of the sales process, like just are going to be even better. It's amazing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's been an honor to see you create all this and trust the process. And I thank you for trusting the process because I know it's very much so paid off. So thanks so much for sharing.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, no, thank you.